Vivian Sue's secret was exposed at our wedding, in front of 200 guests. Derek Xiao strolled in with his entourage, drove a Maybach, wore a six-figure suit, and announced to everyone that she'd chased him for 2 years, that they'd done everything, that the birthmark on her lower back proved it. She didn't deny a word, just gripped my arm, pale as paper. What Derek didn't know, the USB drive in my pocket held 7 years' worth of evidence against his father's company. $2 billion in criminal activity, documented line by line, transaction by transaction. What he also didn't know, the bride trembling beside me owned 37% of his father's company. Shares she'd traded for her brother's life. And the cruelest irony. Vivian and I had been together for 6 years, each of us using the other to get closer to the Zhao family. She approached me for revenge. I kept her around for the same reason. We loved each other for 6 years with half-truths and hidden agendas, both of us waiting for the exact moment to strike. Derek thought he'd come to humiliate me. He had no idea today was the day all 3 of us would show our hands. My name is Leon Zhao. I'm 28, a creative director at an advertising agency. I don't have many talents, but I have a good memory, and a long memory for grudges. Today was supposed to be the most important day of my life, my wedding day. Vivian Sue had been my college classmate. Not stunning, but gentle and thoughtful. We'd been together 6 years, from sharing a cramped studio to finally saving enough for a 2-bedroom down payment. It hadn't been easy. The wedding was at the Sheraton in the East End, nothing extravagant, but the best we could afford. At 7 in the morning, I was adjusting my tie in the hotel room when Ray Zhang, my best man, pushed the door open with a strange look on his face. "Leon, there's someone here to see you," Ray said quietly. "You know a guy named Derek Xiao?" My hands froze. Derek Xiao. That name cut through my memory like a rusted blade. Of course I knew him. For 4 years of college, he'd been my nightmare. Student council president, basketball team captain, trust fund kid, tall and handsome, the center of attention wherever he went. Back then I was just a nobody, black-rimmed glasses, cheap t-shirts, invisible in a crowd. Derek's special treatment started in freshman year, during a public speaking class. I answered a question wrong, and he snorted, loud enough for everyone to hear, "And this guy got into our university?" From then on, humiliating me seemed to be his way of proving his superiority. Mocking my answers in class. Drilling basketballs at me on the court. Making me haul tables and take out trash at student events in front of 100 people. But the real wound came junior year, during scholarship selections. My grades were 3rd in the department, my comprehensive evaluation was solid. The national scholarship was $8,000, a fortune to me back then. Derek, as student council president, sat on the review committee. He shot me down for insufficient extracurriculars and gave the award to his girlfriend, who ranked 15th. I confronted him in his office. He leaned back in his chair, smiling. "Leon, know your place. Even if you got the scholarship, what would it change? After graduation you'd still go back to your small town and work some dead-end job. Save yourself the trouble." I stood there, fists clenched white. But I had nothing then, no connections, no leverage, no power to fight back. I walked away, carving his smug face into my memory. After graduation, I thought I'd never see him again. I worked hard, made a living, met Vivian, and life got better. I buried Derek Xiao's name deep in the past. And now he was here. What does he want? I asked Ray, my voice calmer than I felt. Says he's here for the wedding. Ray's expression was complicated. Came in a Maybach with a whole crew. Your parents seem to know him, they're chatting in the lobby. A Maybach. So Derek was still doing well. No surprise, his father was in real estate, and guys like him don't fall far unless they sabotage themselves. I took a breath, straightened my tie, and walked out. In the hotel lobby, I spotted him immediately. He'd filled out a little, but he wore it well: pale skin, tailored navy suit, a watch that caught the light and screamed six figures. 4 or 5 similarly polished people surrounded him, laughing with my parents like old friends reuniting. "Leon." Derek spotted me, his face splitting into a theatrical grin. He strode over and threw an arm around my shoulder. "Man, it's been years. You're getting married and you don't even tell your old classmates." His tone was so warm, like we'd been brothers. I noticed his crew sizing me up with an anticipation I couldn't quite read, like they were waiting for a show. "Long time," I said flatly, stepping back. Derek didn't seem to mind my coldness. If anything, his grin widened. "Heard you're in advertising." "Nice, nice. Making moves. So where's the bride? Let us see the girl who caught our Leon the scholar's eye." He lingered on "scholar" with a slight upward lilt, like he was telling a joke only he understood. Before I could respond, the dressing room door opened, and Vivian stepped out in her gown. She was beautiful, flawless makeup, hair pinned up, neck long and elegant. The dress wasn't designer, but it was custom, and she'd saved for months to afford it. Seeing her settled the irritation Derek had stirred up. Then I noticed the little things. When Vivian's eyes landed on Derek, her step faltered. Just a half-second freeze before she recovered, smiling as she came to take my arm. But I saw it. And Derek, when he saw her, something shifted in his expression. His eyebrows lifted, his gaze lingered a beat too long, and the smile turned knowing. "The bride is lovely," he said, his tone layered with something I couldn't name. "You're a lucky man, Leon." Vivian murmured, "Thank you," and squeezed my arm a little too hard. I looked at her. She avoided my eyes. Something cold settled in my chest. 6 years together, I knew her every expression, every tell. She recognized Derek. And she didn't want me to know. But with guests filling the hall and the ceremony about to start, I couldn't chase that thread now. We walked to the banquet hall. Derek and his crew followed, taking a table near the front, making a scene. I noticed other guests sneaking glances at them. Their clothes and presents dwarfed the modest wedding. The ceremony went as planned. The MC joked, we exchanged rings, cut the cake, poured champagne. I tried to focus on Vivian, to ignore Derek's gaze burning from the audience. But the reckoning was inevitable. At the toast, when we reached Derek's table, he was already on his feet with a glass of baijiu. "Leon, old classmate, you have to drink this." "I'm driving, so tea will do," I said, raising my cup. "Come on, what groom drives on his wedding night?" Derek's voice carried to surrounding tables. "If you're a man, you drink this. Do me the honor." Ray tried to step in, Derek shoved him aside. His friends joined the chorus. I didn't want a scene. Frowning, I downed it. Derek clapped my shoulder, satisfied, and poured another, this time for Vivian. "Bride, you have to have one too." He extended the glass, grinning, but his eyes held something that bothered me. "Vivian, long time. Won't you drink with me?" He said Vivian, not the bride, not Mrs. Zhao. Vivian's face drained. She stared at the glass, fingers trembling, not reaching for it. "She doesn't drink." I stepped between them, my voice dropping. Derek's eyebrows lifted. He looked at me, then her, a deeper smile spreading. He leaned in, dropping his voice just enough to be heard by nearby tables. "Leon, do you know what your beautiful wife and I used to be?" The room went quiet. Every gaze converged on us like needles. My parents stood nearby, smiles frozen mid-transformation. Vivian's nails dug into my arm. Derek savored the silence. He swirled his glass, drawing out the moment, then spelled it out. "She chased me for 2 years in college. When we were together, everything happened. That birthmark on her lower back, you know it well, don't you? My brain short-circuited. Vivian did have a birthmark on her lower back. Only her closest intimate would know that. I turned to her. Her face was paper white, lips trembling, eyes swimming with tears. She couldn't utter a word. She didn't deny it. The whispers flooded in. Gasps, murmurs, and Derek's people, laughing openly. My mother's glass shattered on the floor. Derek stood at the center, triumphant, a king surveying his domain. He'd waited years for this. So, Leon, he said, patting my shoulder with performative pity, what a connection we share, huh? Your wife, I dumped her, and you took her in. We're family now. Let me toast you for taking care of my... He didn't finish. Because I threw my wine in his face. Red liquid streamed down his cheeks, soaking his expensive suit, staining his white shirt. He froze, stunned. He hadn't expected me to lay a hand on him. The banquet hall was silent. Leon. Vivian gasped, trying to grab me, but I pulled free. Derek wiped his face, his expression darkening. He laughed coldly and slammed his glass down. His crew stood in unison, tension crackling. Fine. Derek jabbed a finger at my chest. You've got guts. But think twice about consequences, can you afford them? Behind him, someone was on the phone, muttering, then nodding at Derek. 5 minutes, my people arrive. Derek tugged at his stained collar, watching me like I was roadkill. I gave you a chance. My mother was crying. My father was stone-faced, trying to mediate but blocked by Derek's men. Vivian stood aside, tears streaming, drained of strength. And I stood there, watching. Oddly, I wasn't afraid. Just absurd. 6 years, and I thought I'd escaped college. Thought I'd built something. But Derek dismantled it all in 5 minutes. He still had power, I still had none. No. Not exactly. I felt for my phone, found a number I hadn't used in years, and typed 2 words. Help me. Then I pocketed it and looked at Derek, who was dabbing his face with a napkin, still smug. Derek, I said, my voice calm. You came here to destroy my wedding, didn't you? He laughed, unashamed. Just helping you see reality. Suit and tie don't change who you are. You're still that nobody. You think a few years of hustle put you on my level. Cute. Class is in the bones. You can't climb out of it. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, beaming. My people are here. The banquet doors swung open. A dozen men in black suits filed in. The lead whispered to Derek, who nodded and jerked his chin at me. Take him somewhere to cool off. Derek's tone was casual, as if ordering a coffee. And find out where he works. Call his boss, tell him Derek Zhao says he's fired. Vivian snapped, Derek, that's enough. He glanced at her, dismissive. What, still protective? You weren't like that in bed. Her face burned, lips pressed bloodless. The suits surrounded me. Ray tried to block them, they shoved him aside. My parents were blocked, my mother's cries muffled. Derek watched from 3 feet away, hands in pockets, enjoying the show. I smiled. Because my phone buzzed. 3 messages at once. First, Sam Shen. 1 word, done. Second, a news alert, billion-dollar real estate conglomerate Eastlink Group under investigation for commercial bribery. Derek's father's company. Third, a text from Charles, it's handled. Economic Crime Unit will arrive in 30 minutes. I pocketed the phone and looked at Derek. He noticed the shift, frowning. Your people are here, I said. Mine are on their way. Let's settle everything, college to now, with interest. Derek laughed. Your people. Leon, be serious. What people? I didn't answer. I turned to the entrance. A man in a navy trench coat walked in. Slow, measured steps, the bearing of someone accustomed to authority. Two assistants in glasses followed with briefcases. When Derek saw him, his smile vanished. The man reached me, glanced at Derek's crew, frowned slightly, then addressed me like commenting on the weather. Leon, sorry for the delay. Traffic. His female assistant stepped forward, badge in hand. Mr. Derek Zhao, I'm from the Economic Crime Unit. You're under investigation for commercial fraud. Please come with us. Silence. Derek's face cycled through colors, white, red, pale, finally settling on fear. There's been a mistake. My father is Richard Zhao. I know Director Wang. The officer cut him off. Director Wang was suspended this morning. Your father is also in custody. Please cooperate. Derek's men shuffled back. They were hired muscle, not fools. Derek wheeled on me, bloodshot eyes. You did this. I met his gaze. 7 years. 7 years since he'd humiliated me in that office, told me I was nothing. I'd remembered every word, every slight. But more than that, I'd acted. Senior year, I started investigating Eastlink. I knew a company that size couldn't be clean. Over 7 years, I'd pieced together their offshore accounts, bribery trails, shell companies. I'd filled 3 hard drives. Sam Shen, my college roommate, whose father worked in the disciplinary commission, helped me keep it ready. I wanted insurance, just in case Derek ever came after me. And today, he delivered himself. Derek, I said, loud enough for everyone, you told me class is in the bones, that I'd never climb. I remember. I stepped closer. His pupils contracted, sweat beaded on his forehead. Everything you have, your money, your cars, your connections, rests on one assumption: your father's business is legal. What if it isn't? I pulled a USB drive from my pocket. This holds 5 years of Eastlink's dirty deals. 3 contract frauds, 2 bribery chains, and your offshore asset transfers. Every number verified. Every cent accounted for. Derek's face went white. 7 years, I said, pocketing it. I waited for the right time. I'd planned to let it go if you stayed away. But you couldn't resist, could you? His lips quivered, words failing. The officers took his arms. Let's go, Mr. Zhao. As they dragged him out, he struggled, this isn't over. My father has connections. You think your little evidence can bring us down? I smiled. Your father's connections were arrested this morning. The rest are scrambling to cover their tracks. No one will take your calls. Derek looked hollow. They took him. His crew dispersed. The hall buzzed. Who was that man? What was Leon's connection? And those whispers about Vivian? I turned to her. She stood in her ruined makeup, clutching her gown. Her eyes held guilt, fear, and something foreign. Leon. Her voice cracked. Let's see the guests out first, I said. The wedding continues. Then I walked to Charles Zhou, Sam's uncle, a top law partner. I'd met him after graduation, too broke to buy him dinner. But when he saw my first batch of evidence, he'd said, Leon, this isn't revenge. It's justice. Eastlink is a cancer. I'll help you for free. And he had. Thank you, Charles, I said. He waved it off, scanning the room. You've waited 7 years, and you've done it. But expect blowback, the Zhao network runs deep. I'm ready. He nodded, patted my shoulder, and left. The MC tried to revive the party. Music played, glasses clinked. But the wedding was irrevocably changed. I stood in a corner, feeling not triumph but exhaustion. 7 years of preparation for 5 minutes of retribution. Done. Now what? My phone buzzed. Sam, Derek taken. Sweet. Drinks tonight. I didn't reply. My eyes were fixed on another message, a bank alert. $120,000 had been deposited into my account this morning. The memo, delayed compensation. I stared at it. That number, so precise. It matched what I'd lost, the scholarship Derek stole, plus years of sabotaged opportunities, compounded with interest. I looked up, scanning for Vivian. She was across the room, back to me, shoulders trembling. Her phone screen glowed, a transfer confirmation. I crossed to her, grabbed her wrist, spun her around. She was crying, flinching like she'd been burned. This money, I demanded, showing her my screen, was from you. She shut her eyes. Tears spilled. She nodded. Explain. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't know how. About Derek? She nodded, then shook her head. Finally she steadied herself, red-eyed, and spoke. Not just Derek. Leon, I've lied to you from the beginning. From the first day we were together. My heart dropped. What? She opened her mouth to answer. The banquet doors burst open. A woman in business attire strode in, file in hand, scanning the crowd until she found us. Mr. Leon Zhao. Ms. Vivian Su. I'm Eastlink Group's legal representative. There's a document you need to see. I frowned. Eastlink's attorney. Now. She handed over a file. My eyes caught the cover, a share transfer agreement. Transferor, Richard Zhao. Transferee, Vivian Su. Dated 3 years ago. I wheeled on Vivian. All color drained from her face. She stared at the document like it was a corpse unearthed. Ms. Su, the lawyer said flatly, according to this agreement, 37% of Eastlink's shares legally belong to you. The music played on, but I heard nothing. My wife of 6 years, a stranger. 3 years ago, Richard Zhao had given her 37% of his company. Why? What was she to the Zhao family? My fingers went white on the folder. The exhilaration of revenge curdled into a new storm, and it was only the beginning of my wedding day. The lawyer sensed the tension but pressed on, pulling out another document. Ms. Su, here's an asset summary. You have 7 days to accept. Also, she glanced at me, Mr. Zhao asked me to relay, I've met all your conditions. Now it's time to honor your end. Vivian swayed, her gown dragged a wrinkle across the floor. I watched her, the pale skin, trembling lips, eyes weaving fear and guilt. 6 years, I thought I knew her. Now she was a labyrinth deeper than my 7-year evidence trail. What conditions? I asked, voice eerily steady. She didn't answer, just bowed her head, a bird soaked by rain. The lawyer placed her card on the table. Call if you need anything, and she left. The party continued, laughter, clinking glasses, but nothing was the same. I picked up the card, Mina Gu, Legal Director, Eastlink Group. It felt like a bomb in my pocket. Dressing room, I said to Vivian. She followed without a word, through the side door into the flower-strewn chaos of the bridal suite. I closed the door, muffling the music. She sat before the mirror, makeup ruined, black streaks under her eyes, fingernails gouging her palms. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching. 2 minutes of silence. Start, I said. Derek or shares, your choice. She took a breath, met her reflection, then turned. Derek, she said, her voice scraped raw. Because both stories are one. Here is what she told me. I chased Derek in college, not for love. For hate. Her face was calm, almost terrifying. The softness was gone, replaced by cold clarity. I had a brother, Vincent. 5 years older. My parents died young, he raised me. He dropped out of high school to work any job he could, supporting my education. When I got into college, he drank half a bottle of Baijiu and cried at our parents' photo all night. Her voice trembled but steadied. In sophomore year, Vincent used his savings to start a small renovation company. Real estate was booming, he did well. Then he won a big contract, showroom renovations for an Eastlink Group property. My stomach clenched. Eastlink withheld his payment. A year's worth of work, materials, wages, over $300,000 tied up. Vincent kept chasing them, they kept delaying. His cash flow was dying. Workers demanded pay, suppliers hounded him. The head of the project was Derek's father, Richard Zhao. Richard offered a solution: transfer 51% of Vincent's company to an Eastlink subsidiary, at a price Richard determined. Basically, steal the company. Vincent refused. Richard laughed and said, "You're a small contractor. You think you can negotiate with me? I can end your career." 3 months later, Eastlink sued Vincent for breach, claimed his work was faulty. They demanded $600,000 in damages. Their legal team buried him in contract traps. He couldn't fight. His company went under. Suppliers and workers sued him. Everything was seized. She paused. Her eyes reddened, but no tears. Vincent jumped. From his seized office roof. 26 floors. The air conditioner hummed. I couldn't breathe. That was junior year, she said. The same year Derek stole your scholarship. After Vincent died, I spiraled, then I decided, I'd make the Zhaos pay. So you approached Derek? I asked. Yes. I studied him, vain, arrogant, loves to be worshipped. I played that part. Pursued him publicly, made him think I was obsessed. He took the bait. We were together 6 months. I swallowed every insult, every call at midnight, every condescending remark. I was looking for one thing, his father's company records. And I found them. Derek's laptop held Eastlink's financial data. One night, he left it open while showering. I copied some. Not enough, but I knew Eastlink was dirtier than I'd thought. Then Derek sensed something and dumped me. She laughed, bitter. His reason? You're too boring to show off. 2 years chasing him, 6 months of humiliation, and that's my reward. But I didn't care. I had a starting point. After graduation, I stayed in the city, working and collecting more evidence. I knew I couldn't take the Zhaos alone, I needed allies. And timing. Her eyes met mine. Then I found you. Senior year, you posted an analysis on the campus forum, Eastlink's contract terms, legal and commercial flaws. It was brilliant. It got deleted, but I saved it. I blinked. I'd posted that months after Derek stole my scholarship, spent weeks researching. I thought no one had noticed. When we got together, she continued, I admit, I had an agenda. I knew you had evidence, knew you hated Derek. I thought we were the same. But then. I actually fell for you. You worked hard, you were kind. I started thinking maybe I could put revenge aside. But you didn't, I said. No. Her voice dropped. 3 years ago, Richard Zhao contacted me. How? I'd left him a letter. I had evidence that Derek had been involved in something serious in college, something that would ruin him. I'd expose it unless Richard met me. You blackmailed him. Negotiated. She was flat. Richard's ruthless, but he's terrified for Derek. Derek's his only legitimate son, and he's covered up for him before, DUIs, fights, one very bad incident I had proof of. When I met Richard, I said, I don't want money. I want shares. A seat at the table. Legal oversight of your company. He resisted. I told him I'd go public with Derek's case. He thought for a week, then agreed. But he made me sign a contract, no transfer, no sale, no disclosure for 10 years. Breach it, and the shares vanish. I signed. That's the 37%. I sat in silence, absorbing it all. Pieces clicked together. And the 120,000? I asked. Vincent's payment, she said. 300,000, minus debts, adjusted for inflation and interest, came to about 120. I saved it over the years. I wanted to pay off our mortgage, ease your stress. But I didn't dare explain its source. Then today, when you launched your plan, when I saw Eastlink under investigation, I knew it was time. Because regardless of my lies, one truth remains, I love you. These 6 years were real. The room was still. I stared at her, tears and smeared makeup, shattered dignity. And I realized, if her story held, we'd been running parallel operations against the same enemy. She'd played the seductress, I'd played the strategist. 6 years of sleeping beside each other while chasing different pieces of the same puzzle. If it was true. Can you prove it? I asked. Your brother's story, Derek's incidents, the shares. She blinked, then scrolled on her phone, handing it to me. Photos, a folder stuffed with documents, Vincent's business license, contracts, Eastlink's payment records, court summons, death certificate. Every seal, every signature visible. The last photo stopped me cold, a screenshot of a chat between Richard and Derek, dated junior year. Richard, that contractor is back. Send someone to scare him. Derek, already on it. He won't bother us again. 3 days later, Vincent jumped. My blood chilled. From Derek's laptop. I asked. She nodded. He never deletes anything. I copied it. I gave back the phone. Last question, I said. Why tell me today? She sighed, bitter. Because I was scared. Scared you'd see 6 years as a lie. But today, watching you take Derek down, you were calm, decisive. You're stronger than I ever knew. I thought maybe I didn't need to hide anymore. Maybe we could face everything together. She lowered her head, awaiting judgment. The distant wedding music drifted through the door. I looked at her, saw the woman who'd shared a cramped apartment with me, who ate instant noodles so I could save for a birthday gift, who drove to pick me up after late nights, who stayed 3 days at my hospital bedside. That wasn't all an act. I knelt before her. Vivian, if Derek hadn't shown up today, if I hadn't triggered my plan, when would you have told me? She shook her head. Maybe never. And the shares? The agreement? I'd never take the money. Those shares were a check on Richard Zhao. I'd let them be frozen, forfeited, whatever. And the 120? From my own savings. I wanted to clear our mortgage, give us breathing room. I met her eyes, reddened, sincere, exhausted. Maybe it was all true. Maybe parts still hid. But looking at her, I found my anger ebbing. Because she was right, we were the same. I'd hidden my investigation, my alliance with Sam and Charles, my plan for years. If Derek had stayed away, I might never have told her. 2 secret keepers, loving each other for 6 years. All right, I said, standing. Let's finish the wedding. Then, tonight, no more secrets. We'll lay everything out. She stared. You're not leaving. Wedding first. 200 guests. Then, at home, we'll hash it out, Derek, your shares, your lies, my lies, all of it. Tears spilled, but a smile tugged at her lips. You don't hate me. I hate you for lying. But I'm not clean either. We're even. She laughed, a broken sound, and wiped her face messily with her palm. I handed her tissues. Fix your face. You can't walk out like this. She cleaned up, reapplied light makeup, and took a long breath. Then she stood, smoothed her dress, and reached for my hand. Let's go. We rejoined the party. Ray rushed over, full of questions. I nodded him off. The MC revived the celebration. We toasted, made rounds, saw guests out. By nightfall, the banquet hall was empty, strewn with ribbons and petals. My parents left with worried faces. Mom said, "Take care of each other," and I promised to explain later. We sat in the silence. My phone buzzed. Sam, so? Drinks? I saved your ass today, you owe me. I replied, tomorrow. Tonight's occupied. He sent a knowing emoji, then, cool. Tomorrow, same place. Bring Vivian, there are things she might want to talk about too. I frowned. Sam knew Vivian. Had he known about her and Derek? Had he known and stayed quiet? I turned to her. She was reading her phone, frowning. Who? She showed me the screen, a text from an unknown number. Congratulations, sis-in-law. Heard my brother got nailed today. Your handiwork, I assume. Derek's half-brother, she said. Leo. Richard's illegitimate son, 3 years younger. He's been abroad since high school, smart, ruthless. Finance and law degree. Richard planned to give him the overseas operations. Now that Richard and Derek are down, he'll be back. I forwarded the message to Sam, look into this guy. He replied quickly, already on it. Leo Zhao, 26, LSE grad, working at a Swiss investment bank. Booked a flight home tomorrow. Leon, you might have kicked a bigger hornet's nest than you thought. I pocketed the phone. Vivian leaned in. What? Tomorrow. First, let's go home. She took my hand. We walked out to the dark, neon-lit city. In the cab, she leaned on my shoulder, eyes closed, exhausted. I watched her profile, the worry lines still etched even in sleep. 6 years. I thought I'd understood her, now I saw only the tip of the iceberg. My phone buzzed again. Sam, full file on Leo is in your email. Also, Richard Zhao is bragging in lockup that he'll walk, telling his loyalists not to jump ship. Watch your back. I skimmed Leo's file, brilliant, ruthless, fluent in multiple languages, involved in global M&A. The few photos showed him immaculate, smiling, but cold-eyed. When the cab arrived, I woke Vivian. We walked the familiar hallway to our door. The light came on, illuminating our framed photo from Sonia, Vivian laughing, me mid-sneeze. Every time I come home, this makes me smile, she'd said. Now I wondered, was that smile ever real? Leon. She stood in the living room, still in her gown. Ask what you want. I'll tell you everything. I sat on the couch, patted the seat beside me. She sat, back straight, hands clasped, like an interview. What happened the day your brother died? I asked. She went rigid. November 13th, she whispered. Vincent called me. He said, Ning Ning, I'm sorry, you'll have to walk the rest alone. I was in class, I didn't understand. By the time I called back, no one answered. Later I learned Eastlink had come with marshals, seized his office, boxed his things, publicly. Vincent just watched. Then he went to the roof. His last text to Richard, "I'll haunt you." Silence. "How did you get the chat screenshot?" I asked. "Before Derek dumped me. He left his laptop open. I copied it." She closed her eyes and recited the chat, "The contractor's back, scare him." Already on it. I included 3 months of conversations in a compiled file. When I met Richard, I showed him. "Thus the shares," I said. "Yes." He was terrified. "I didn't ask for cash, I asked for a seat." He signed. "Why didn't you go to the police?" She shook her head. "The chat only shows words, not direct culpability. I needed real financial crime evidence. As a shareholder, I accessed Eastlink's records. Some of that I sent to regulators, some to Sam." "Sam?" She smiled faintly. "Leon, who do you think connected you to Charles?" I stared. "Senior year, I saw your forum analysis. Sam, your roommate, was already investigating Eastlink through his father. We made a deal, I gave him intelligence, he gave me legal access. He told me you were also collecting evidence. He suggested I approach you. So Sam knew everything." "Yes. And the USB to copy Derek's laptop, he gave it to me." I walked circles around the room, processing. "My best friend, who'd helped me for 7 years, he'd been working with Vivian in secret. You both lied to me for 6 years. Sam didn't tell you because I begged him not to. I was afraid you'd think my love was fake. I wanted to find the right moment. I never did. But today, when I saw your U-Drive, I knew it was time." I exhaled, sat beside her. "One more question, am I part of your revenge plan, or someone you actually love?" She was quiet for a long time. Then. "In the beginning, you were part of the plan. But after our first year together, you stopped being that. Remember when I was hospitalized with gastroenteritis? You took 3 days off work, slept in the chair, held my insurance papers. I realized, if you ever learned the truth, would you still treat me like that?" I was terrified. But I also knew I couldn't go back. I saw her, the real her, the woman who'd shared everything with me, who'd been there in every low moment. I took her cold hand. "Starting now, no more secrets. All of it, my secrets, your secrets, the Zhao family, we face it together. Can we?" Tears fell on our joined hands. She nodded fiercely. "Okay." I held her. The wedding day was over, but it was only the beginning. Richard Zhao in jail, Derek under investigation, and Leo Zhao on a flight home. And Vivian's 37% shares, a ticking clock. "Before we meet Sam tomorrow," she said, "I want to visit somewhere first." "Where?" "Vincent's grave. Today's his anniversary. I'll go with you." She smiled, bittersweet. "Thank you. But be ready, some things you'll only understand there." I found Mina Gu's card in my pocket, Eastlink's legal director. It sat heavy on the coffee table. My phone lit up. An email from an unknown address. Subject, brother. The body, a black and white photo of a rooftop, a blurry figure at the railing. Below, your wife knows this angle. The building, 26 floors. Where Vincent died. The sender's signature, Leo. My blood went cold. Vivian called from the bedroom, "Leon. Coming to bed?" I stared at the photo, then flipped the phone face down on the card. "Coming," I said. Moonlight filtered through clouds. The ghost of 3 years ago watched silently. Tomorrow, the real battle would begin. I walked into the bedroom. Vivian was already in bed, hair spread on the pillow. She looked exhausted, but her eyes stayed open, fixed on the ceiling. "You didn't ask what you'd see at the cemetery," she said. "You said I'd understand when I got there." "I'll wait." She turned toward me, hand on my arm. "Leo messaged you, didn't he?" I showed her the photo. Her face paled but didn't show the shock I expected. She stared at the image, then handed it back. "He took it." "What?" "Leo. The day Vincent died, he wasn't just there. He was part of it." I turned, waiting. "Vincent almost had a comeback," she continued. "A company called Evergrande Investment offered funding, solid terms, signed contracts. But the money never came. Vincent kept following up. Eventually, he learned Evergrande was a shell. Its real owner was Richard Zhao, a front to strangle competitors, then buy them cheap. Leo executed it. He was 19. He played Vincent like a brother, called him Shug, promised the world. 3 days before Vincent's death, Vincent texted Leo thanks, said he'd treat him to dinner after the crisis. Her voice went flat. When I found Vincent's phone, I saw 3 months of chat logs. Leo's last message: "Shug, business is war. You were too naive." Sent 2 hours before Vincent jumped. "So your enemy list includes Leo." "Leo is the worst," she said, emotionless. "Richard planned it, Derek helped, but Leo was the blade." And he stood across the roof, photographing Vincent's fall. "How do you know he took it?" "He sent it to me. After I met Richard, Leo called from overseas. He said, 'Sis-in-law, no, Ms. Sue. Heard you got shares. But have you thought about your brother's price? I have a photo, his last. Want to see?' He sent it. That's the one you saw." "What did he want?" "His share. He claimed it was payment he was owed. Evergrande had been his first project. He demanded Vincent's shares, with dividends, in 3 years. I agreed because I had no choice. Without those shares, I couldn't access Eastlink's records. The deadline, I realized, is today." "Yes." Leo timed it perfectly. Richard and Derek are in custody. Eastlink is in chaos. With my shares, he controls the company. She gave a bitter smile. "So all along, we never escaped the Zhaos. You put Derek away, I fed Charles evidence, we downed 2 of them. But Leo, smarter, meaner, and he's watched us for 3 years." I was quiet. "Are you afraid?" I asked. "Of course. For 6 years. But today, when you took out that U-drive, I stopped being afraid. I realized I'm not alone anymore." I looked at her, fragile, strong, and finally real. "Tomorrow, cemetery, then Sam. Leo, the 3 of us handle it." In the dark, she pressed against me. "If Vincent were alive, he'd have liked you." I held her. The photo on my phone lingered like a specter. Morning would bring change. The next morning, we drove to the cemetery. November wind cut cold. Vivian wore a black coat, carrying white chrysanthemums. We climbed the steps to Vincent's half-mountain grave, surrounded by cypress trees. The tombstone was plain, Vincent Sue, no photo, no epitaph. Vivian knelt, laid the flowers, brushed dust off the stone. "Vincent, I'm here. Today I brought someone, my husband, Leon." I bowed. "Hi, Vincent. I'll take care of Vivian." She smiled briefly, uncapped the bottle, poured 2 cups, one for Vincent, one for herself. "Vincent, Richard Zhao and Derek are in custody. Justice is coming." But Leo returned. "He still has your photo, the one from that day. He's given me until today to give him the shares." But I've changed my mind. I won't give them up. Those shares aren't your life, they're mine, bought with 6 years of effort. I'll use them to finish what you started. She looked at me. I said, she's right. We don't give in. She turned to the grave. Vincent, he talks like you. Don't retreat, it'll be the end. She showed him their old photo, Vincent and 17-year-old Vivian, laughing by a building under renovation. I skipped class that day. You yelled at me, but you let me help paint. You said someday we'd run your company together. But you didn't wait. Her tears fell on the screen. I held her as she sobbed. Then she composed herself and turned to Leo's photo. Leo, I won't back down. Watch me. We left for the bar where Sam waited. Am was already at the booth, beer and appetizers out. He looked hungover. Vivian, he said awkwardly. Sam. She sat. 3 months ago, you told me not to tell Leon about our meeting. He grimaced. Okay, here it comes. I sat down. Start at the beginning. Everything. Sam laid it out, meeting Vivian, sharing intel, agreeing to hide it. Why didn't you tell me? Because she asked. Later, when you two were together, I should have, but she was scared. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I drank. It's okay. She deceived me too. Sam relaxed. We clinked glasses. Leo's back, I said. Sam sobered. He pulled out a file. He flew red-eye, landed at 4 a.m. Disappeared after landing, no hotels, no Zhao's properties. He's using a burner sim. And he's been funding local operatives, 2 million through 6 accounts, to a shell called Fengxing run by ex-cops. He also showed us a lawyer's letter, demanding Vivian transfer the shares within 48 hours or face Swiss arbitration. Swiss law, I calculated. 37% of Eastlink is worth over $1 billion. Treble damages, we're ruined. 2 options, Vivian said. Give him the shares, or find his Achilles heel in 48 hours. I thought. Richard just started talking to investigators. He rolled over on 3 deputy chiefs, 2 bank presidents. Maybe his testimony can implicate Leo's shell company, Evergrande. Sam's eyes lit up. He called his uncle. Evergrande is Richard's shell. Leo ran it. Vincent's computer has all the evidence, if we can get it. Back home, Vivian pulled out an old laptop from a dusty box. She hesitated, then opened it. Inside, contracts, payment records, chat logs, voice recordings, all from Vincent. She played one, Leo's voice, 19, promising Vincent next week's funding with perfect sincerity. She stopped it, shaking. Every week, he said, next week. Right up to the end. Sam scanned the files. This is enough to link Evergrande to Eastlink, and Leo to illegal operations. We can report it to economic police. Can they act in 48 hours? I asked. Maybe not, but... Vivian stood. I'm meeting Leo. Alone? I objected. Not alone, the 3 of us. He expects me to come. He's patient. I'll use his patience as a weakness. Sam agreed. We prepped, got Charles's legal opinion on invalidating Vivian's contract, copied Vincent's files, set timers to release everything if we didn't return. Vivian texted Leo, tomorrow, 3 p.m., Eastlink boardroom. You alone, I bring 1 person. He replied, okay. At 3 p.m., we entered Eastlink's headquarters, a 36-story glass tower. Vivian wore a gray suit, hair in a tight ponytail, face impassive. Sam stayed across the street, monitoring via hidden camera and earpiece. In the boardroom, at a huge walnut table, sat Leo, younger than his photo, gray cashmere sweater, unhurried, a cup of coffee cooling. He smiled when we entered. Ms. Su. Mr. Zhao. You're younger than I expected. My brother fell hard to you. Cut the pleasantries, Vivian said, sitting. We're here about the shares. There's nothing to negotiate. You signed an agreement. You honor it. What if I refuse? Then I sue. Under Swiss law, you'll lose. And you don't want that photo made public, do you? He showed the photo, Vincent's back on the rooftop, with a caption, target in place. Awaiting execution. Vincent's last image, Leo said calmly. I watched him from the opposite roof. He called you, then stood, then jumped. Didn't you try to stop him? Her voice dropped. Stop. Your brother was a project. Project's close. It's business. She held it together. So you watched a man die, as a project? More or less. He sipped coffee. I sent my dad the photo. He said, well done, but clean up. I stayed still, knowing Leo was recording. I signaled Vivian subtly. Leo, I said, you're trying to bait us. It won't work. He paused, pulled out his recorder, and turned it off. Fine. You're sharper than Derek said. The mask dropped. Eyes cold, he leaned forward. I want the shares, but I'll make a deal. Your brother's money, compounded, 800,000. I'll pay you $1 million, cash, no strings. Sign a release, leave the city. I buy Vincent's life with $1 million. Fair? Vivian stared at him. Sunlight tracked across the table. Then she laughed, a cold, judge-like laugh that transformed her. You think this is negotiation? I'm here to show you something. She played a video, a banquet, a city official toasted by Leo, who said, Director, about Eastlink's land permit, my father said we'll take good care of you. The official grinned, I know your father. Your family. Leo's composure cracked. Where did you get that? Does it matter? That director was arrested yesterday. If I send this to the police, you're an accessory to bribery. Your Swiss lawyer can't help you then. Pause. Then Leo leaned back, regaining his smile. You're tougher than I thought. But a single video won't be enough. Who said I had just one? She laid out bank records, Evergrande's money laundering path, all traced to Eastlink, with Leo's signatures. Leo, you've broken 5 local companies, 2 of whose owners followed Vincent's path. I've signed a criminal complaint. Walk out refusing to drop the shares, and I file it. The room darkened with the setting sun. Leo studied the papers. Then. You know if you file this, your shares freeze, Eastlink collapses, you lose everything. I know. But I don't care about money. I care that Vincent's death is paid for. She stood over him. You told Vincent business was war, he was naive. But you're naive if you think everything can be bought. Silence. City lights flickered on. Leo's fingers tapped the table, then stopped. I withdraw. The shares are yours. The agreement is void. I'll take the first flight to Switzerland and not return. He cancelled the agreement with a cross and signature. Vivian then showed him another document, a donation agreement, all 37% of shares to a city fund for small businesses targeted by fraud. He laughed. You're the stupidest person I've ever met. $1 billion, donated. She stood. Vincent jumped over 300,000. Ask him if stupid has anything to do with money. We left. In the elevator, Vivian collapsed against the wall, trembling. Was the video real? I asked. Real, but edited. Leo's words were taken out of context. And the signatures on the bank records were Richard's, not Leo's. The evidence wouldn't hold up in court. But Leo didn't know that. So you gambled? Yes. And I won. He's a calculator, he took the low-risk path. Outside, Sam ran up. Did it work? Vivian nodded. Sam collapsed in relief. He'll leave, I said. He's done fighting. She smiled, soft again. Let's go home. 3 days later, the shares were officially donated. Leo left for Switzerland. 7 days later, Richard and Derek were indicted. Richard got 20 years, Derek 8. A month later, Vivian paid off our mortgage. She collapsed crying at the kitchen table, not silent tears, but racking sobs that only ended at dawn. We framed Vincent's old photo on the mantel. At Vincent's grave, Vivian left a newspaper, East Link executive sentenced, Richard Zhao 20 years, Derek Zhao 8 years. She poured Baijiu. Vincent, justice served. Your company is gone, but your name is in the fund's donor records. Many small businesses will get help because of you. She toasted the stone. I'll bring good news every year. Rest well. We walked down the hill, cypress branches rustling. The city glittered below. The wind spoke, she seemed to hear it. She smiled, quiet and free. Everything was finally, peacefully, over.